In this section, we will visit a few common approaches for providing console login access to cloud instances and servers. While providing console access to cloud instances predicates common actions such as server configuration, application deployment, and operations, providing this access could lead to security breaches in the cloud. The first and most common access pattern centers around the usage of asymmetric key pairs. An asymmetric key pair consists of a public key and a private key. When a cloud instance is provisioned, the cloud provider will add a user's public key to the instance. The user will possess the private key, which corresponds to the public key. They can use this private key to authenticate to the instance. The biggest risk to this approach is that the end users are responsible for maintaining and managing private keys. If private keys are compromised or lost, it can put the environment at risk of unauthorized access. The second pattern for gaining access to the server is a situation where passwords are enabled for SSH or RDP. This is discouraged as it can leave the server open to brute force attacks. Many cloud vulnerability scanners will flag this as a misconfiguration. Earlier in this course, we discussed IAM roles and identity federation to access the AWS account. A similar practice can be used for accessing servers. Using a privileged access management or PAM tool with identity federation can improve security by moving the responsibility of managing credentials and user privileges from the user to a trusted process used by your organization. A fourth method for gaining access to servers is to use the cloud provider's native tools. AWS provides the Systems Manager service, which enables users to manage EC2 instances at the operating system level. Systems Manager provides the ability to run remote commands, perform configuration automation, do system patching, and gain deeper visibility into system configuration. This is made possible by deploying a Systems Manager agent on instances under management. One of the great features that is provided in Systems Manager is the Session Manager tool, which can provide SSH or RDP console access through the AWS console or command line interface. To use the Session Manager tool, a user will authenticate with AWS using their IAM user or role. The user's role will need a policy that authorizes them to start a session on the instance. The authenticated user can invoke the Session Manager through the AWS Management Console or CLI tool to obtain a session to the instance. With this method, no exposure to the internet is required, and passwords and private keys do not need to be managed. As a reminder, it is important to set up IAM permissions with least privilege access to Session Manager so that users and roles can only access the systems that they are entitled to. A fifth method for gaining access to instances is through an open vulnerability. Oftentimes, web servers and applications have security vulnerabilities, which allow users to exploit those vulnerabilities with the intention of gaining console access to the instance. Finally, the best method to log into cloud servers and instances is to not log in at all. This is called immutability, and we will discuss it further a little later in the course.